Okay, good. So Johnny Beirne is my name if you haven't met me before, and together with the Local Enterprise Office I facilitate the network every month, and I'm also co-founder of the Digital Business Institute. And this evening I just want to give you a very important topic in the whole area of marketing and education-based marketing, and as it says on the slide there, to this whole concept of give before you ask, rather than always trying to sell. So just very briefly, I've been training and mentoring in digital marketing since 2005, but in the last 2 years, particularly in the last 6 months, I've really immersed myself in the whole area of e-learning and online learning and open source courses and free courses and everything in between, and really just to basically try and get my courses online, which I launched a few last year, and to spend more time training and less time driving. So what is education-based marketing? Well, from researching it a lot over the last couple of months, the shortest summary that I can come up with is basically sharing knowledge to build trust. So to educate and to empower your existing customers and potential customers with information before you go for the sale. Okay. Anybody heard of the concept before, or familiar with the concept of education-based marketing? James? Colin, through your ebook work perhaps, or?
Yes, but not called that.
Sure, okay, good. So the more kind of lengthy, not definition, but just from some of the research I've looked at, it's basically a marketing strategy to establish trust and credibility using educational messages, in contrast to traditional marketing, which uses selling-based messages. Okay, so really what we're trying to do here is build trust and build credibility. In fact, there's a great talk on TED Talks, if you're familiar with watching TED Talks, and the title of it is Trust is the Currency of the New Economy, or words to that effect. So basically, with all the advertising and all the marketing that comes at us these days, trust is becoming ever more important. And when Bernie mentions referral, there's a huge element of trust there, because what we're actually getting, or what Bernie is getting, is introductions to new customers from people that they trust. Because Bernie, we can spend a lot of money marketing and everything else, but unfortunately it's hard to get trust across in traditional marketing. So that's what we're trying to do with education-based marketing. And a number of companies that have been doing it for quite some time, in the US and here in Ireland as well, and in Europe. Home Depot, for one, for example, would run free kids workshops in their stores every Saturday, from how to build a birdhouse with your children to various other DIY type, if you like, courses, because DIY is a big part of what they do. So they bring in parents and children, they provide this free workshops and training, and you may leave with a new hammer or saw or whatever it might be as a result of the workshop. But first and foremost, what they're looking to do is provide this free education as opposed to direct marketing. You might, for example, also hear the ads for SMAMums.ie and SMA Know-How, and they provide a lot of free information for particularly mothers on parenting and pregnancy and all that whole area. They have worksheets you can download, or help sheets as they call them, and various other things, and videos. And they would put a lot of time and money into providing this resource. Fáilte Ireland, I've noticed recently as well, back in March, for example, they ran a webinar with a digital marketing company on email marketing. So they would contract somebody in, that specialist would deliver the training. Fáilte Ireland then would provide that knowledge-based training, use that for knowledge-based marketing to their audience, and to keep your B&Bs and your accommodation and various other services as customers of Fáilte Ireland. locally here, Yasmin spoke at our last network meeting. She's based here in Carrick-on-Shannon, and every Tuesday she would run a free hangout using Google Hangouts, where again she provides free consultancy and information using this technology as an opportunity to educate, so really to give before she asks. Of course, you know, there are opportunities then through the training, which is provided for free, to mention products and services and consultancy and programs that she offers. But at the moment, you know, that service is there for free every Tuesday morning, and that's just another more local example. So I didn't want people to think that, you know, it's all about companies like Home Depot and SMA that have big marketing budgets. And we'll go through 4 different ways that we as business owners can actually create some education-based marketing of our own. Myself, I'm launching on the 11th of August a daily free training via webinar, 30 minutes or less depending on the topic. So the plan is every day to provide that service, and again it will be free education, but it will be marketing my business. There's no obligation to ever buy anything from me, but I'm using it there to position myself as somebody who knows this topic you know, quite a lot. I'm also bringing out a new book later on the year, particularly for people, experts, coaches, consultants, knowledge providers, trainers, chefs, you name it, anybody that sells knowledge for a living. I'm developing this comprehensive book called Record Once, Sell Often, and I'm hoping to have that out later in the year. So a couple of options then to get this going, or where to start. Have we any questions so far on the examples, or have people seen other examples that they can think of?
You mentioned the lady doing the weekly online.
Sure, yeah.
Courses. For those of us who rely on a bad broadband.
Sure, yeah.
Can you come and do it here?
Yeah. I mean, you talk to Colin, who manages the building, and there's hot desk space, there's coffee spaces, or coffee dock spaces, and you can just tune in with your headphones and just listen in. Yeah.
I got your survey there, you know, about you know, the different type of courses, you know.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there filling it in, and I think, you know, that's really interesting, like, you know, and I was thinking, and I was going, and then I stopped, I didn't send it back, I said to myself, God, you know, I mightn't actually buy any of these courses, you know, then, and I would feel guilty. Do you know what I mean? I was trying to think,
sure,
what could I buy then? And I was thinking, on the other hand, was, well, I suppose if I saw that, I'd be saying to other ones, my God, you should try Johnny, like he has done A, B, and C. So I was still going to send back, and I was, well, maybe I shouldn't. So just the point that I'm making is,
sure,
that, you know, that even if people, you know, kind of take an interest and say, I must listen to that tomorrow morning, like, you mightn't necessarily buy from you, but you're more inclined to say to other people after, that was brilliant, I see anything. If, you know, someone say to you, I'm in fierce trouble doing this or that.
Sure, yeah.
And
yeah.
So while the person themselves mightn't buy, you could get 4 or 5 orders from that.
Sure, and there is no obligation to buy, but the big challenge for, particularly in digital marketing and social media, but in general in business, it's a very crowded space, and we're fighting for the attention of all sorts of things in people's inboxes and stuff like that. So, you know, we would follow experts in the US who are just really position themselves as experts by providing a lot of free content, and it's a model I'm going to try and follow. There is no obligation to buy, but I would hope there would be still a conversion rate, and time will tell what that will actually be. But you know, I definitely take the input on board.
I'm not just saying that I wouldn't buy. I'm just afraid that there might be something that I wanted to buy at the time. Like.
Yeah, and there'll be lots of free content with never an obligation to buy, for sure. As I say, I'm just hoping the conversion rate will be financially feasible to keep it going. Yes, James.
I read a very good book there a number of years ago by Chet Holmes called The Ultimate Sales Machine, and he was sharing that at any given time, it's about 3% of people that are ready to buy.
Sure.
So if you have a sales-based marketing, you're hitting people to try and sell something to them, and 97% of the people are not in a position to buy at all, and you're trying to sell to people that's not in that space. So the brilliant thing about education-based marketing is that you're just open up the market, that people will buy when they're ready to buy, not
Sure.
ready to sell. So
Yeah.
it opens that. It opens up the other 97%.
Yeah, and it's really, it's not a new concept if you think about it, like the try before you buy. I mean, we have people in the supermarkets, giving us, free food sometimes to try a new product because, they want us to try it, with no obligation to buy, but hoping that, a certain percentage of the people will actually buy.
Or the Kindle book is a good one. You do get the first chapter.
Sure,
As a sample.
yeah, as a sample. Yeah, so it's not a particularly new concept. It's just, I think, the technology, if you have the broadband, taking Colin's point on board, if you have the broadband, the technology makes education-based marketing more accessible to us than ever before. Okay, so where to start then? Well, one of the big places to start with all of this is to answer the questions being asked by your audience, by your customers and potential customers already. And that's what I'm trying to do with the survey that I've sent out, trying to get a sense of what are the big issues for people, what are the topics that are most popular that people will want to learn. And also, of course, answer the questions that mightn't necessarily be asked at all, but definitely start with the ones that are being asked, because there will also be other knowledge and information and answers that you will have that people will want. They just haven't thought to ask the question. And then from providing those answers, we can build trust. And remember, we're doing a huge portion of this for free. So there's, they really can try before they buy with no financial obligation whatsoever.
Do you know a thing I forget what I don't say it. A thing I see in a lot of sites you go to, where you're getting information that's useful information.
Yeah.
And then they say at the end, like, it costs something to have that information there. And if you just like to donate something, which would mean if you went down and looked at a webinar and you see, like, everyone can appreciate the time involved in this work and there's donate work.
Sure.
You could say, would you look at it, just a tenner into it, like,
yeah.
surely had to be worth
yeah.
to me, like, or,
Yeah.
And then it kind of make up for, you wouldn't feel as bad if you weren't buying something in the immediate future, like, or...
Sure.
And people appreciate there's a cost with anything you do that takes time,
Yeah.
I think you're in the minority, Bernie, don't think.
You're too nice, Bernie.
A lot of people would be donating.
Well, all these things are staying there. They're keeping
Yeah.
afloat. Like, I mean, I would
wish
probably give a
everyone
couple
thought
of
they
euro,
cared
like,
about what they're on, but I don't think it's...
Yeah, the research has shown that as soon as you ask for any money at all, however nominal it might be, the attitude changes completely, even if it's €1. Now, and I see donate buttons, and I see the creative industries doing it a lot, and they might have a track from their album, and you can donate to it and all that kind of stuff. And in a lot of cases that would work. Webinars are expected to be, in the majority, are expected to be free. There are people who charge for webinars to be viewed for sure, but they're a small minority. But by all means, I mean, that definitely is an option for sure.
Do you mind if I make a suggestion to you, Johnny?
Sure.
This to me is really new. When you sent that email, it was absolutely very, very interesting. And I do believe myself this is not something you'll be able to keep going unless in some way that you get some form of payment.
Yeah.
And I think that, like the likes of people, an awful lot of people at this stage would know you has been into this and all the rest of it.
Sure.
I mean, if you were offering a service like where you were saying to people, look at, if a direct debit from your credit card, from your debit card of €1 every month. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
That you can listen to, see all my webinars, get all of them free. Like, I mean, if you have 1,000 people that will give you €1 1 month,
sure,
to cover any costs that you may have in doing it, and it means you can keep them going, and people can sort of,
yeah. Well, the business model would be that that if 100 people watch, that 99 would buy. No, not 99, but maybe 10 would buy. I don't know. I'll have to see. It's around 3%, and then we have to see. Of the 3%, what I charge and what the course is. The other thing is that I'm going to keep the courses competitive, and I'm not going to be traveling. And the whole idea is that whatever we produce as business owners for free, the same as the people giving away free food in Tesco, they don't do that indefinitely, and they don't give you enough that you don't have to eat a dinner or whatever it might be afterwards. They give you enough so that you can try before you buy, and they know the numbers, and it works. So I'm going to provide it for free and hoping that a percentage will convert. Okay. So the other thing that we're trying to do with our education-based market then is remove any doubt that people might have from buying this particular product or service that we have. So if I'm buying your wedding stationery, is there going to be, is it going to be what I want? Is there going to be spelling mistakes? Is there, whatever it might be. So we educate people and we remove any fear or objections they might have from buying our product or service. So the first place to start, in my experience and following other people, who are doing this on a regular basis, the common denominator would seem to be with a lot of them. And you won't have, it won't be the first time you've heard me mention this topic, but blogging is still where it's at. Hi, Orla. So one of the big things about blogging that has really come to the fore over the last 6 months is the changes that Google continue to make in terms of indexing websites. And one thing that they've categorically stated is that blogging still works. Other changes have been made because they for the most part, believe that blogging is still done by real people who are writing interesting articles, and they're getting lots of visitors and comments and interaction, and they've got the keywords and in the key places and everything else. But that's fine for Google, and it's critical. But the other thing about blogging, of course, is that it does show, in terms of education marketing, that you know what you're talking about because you're blogging about it. So it services Google, but more importantly, it services the audience as well. So, very quickly, how do you get started with blogging? Well, there's a couple of experts here. I would suggest that you have a look at WordPress and set up a blog. And people then kind of, right, I've set up a blog, and then I go, what do I put on it? I'm not a writer and everything else. Well, the very simple solution in all of this is continue to answer the most frequently asked questions. And if you have to do a survey to get those questions, then do a survey. If 10 people do the survey and 4, 5, 6 of them have a common problem, then that's the first frequently asked question that you need to answer. And there could be a range of answers depending on the nature of the question. But the place to start is, what are your questions? What are your pain points? What is your pain point with Facebook? Is it Facebook ads? Is it Facebook itself? Should you be using it? Whatever the questions are. And then encourage questions. Constantly be asking for questions. And the questions are gold in terms of education marketing. Because if you don't know what questions they're asking, and sometimes we become blinkered in our knowledge. I know there's a saying I heard on the radio the other day about the curse of knowledge is we don't know the questions to answer or something like that. It's basically we're become so knowledgeable about our subject matter, we forget that there are people who don't actually know. So we should encourage questions all the time. And I mentioned having a survey, and then blog weekly, at least. And I know time is going to come into it and everything else, but if you make it a priority, you will have the time. But weekly is a great place to start. And then people might say, well, what about monthly or a couple of times a year? No, weekly, at least. 500 words or less. If you're knowledgeable about your topic, you will get faster at it and you will churn them out fairly quickly. What is actually stopping you from doing it is, oh, I'm not a journalist, or I'm not a writer, or I've never written a blog post before. But I can assure you, people have asked you questions about what you do. You've provided a very, very valuable answer. You just haven't written it into a blog post. We kind of get caught up in technology and, oh, it's a blog, therefore I can't write it or I can't deliver it. But the reality is you have it anyway. So the other way to get questions, which I'm starting to do too, taking the lead from Pat Flynn in Smart Passive Income, is using a free service, and there's a paid version as well called SpeakPipe, where basically people can go onto your account and literally start recording the question. Because you have to be mindful too that people are quite busy. But if you can make it very easy for them to leave you a voicemail by not even having to dial a phone, by just click start recording, of course they need a mic that's working. But most modern day computers and laptops will have one that's working. You click start recording and they just literally ask a question. So they don't have to spend time typing it up. And we can obviously speak an awful lot faster than we can type, and we can be more fluid as well. So that's a service that I'm beginning to use more and more often, and you get lots of great questions through it. The next one is consider writing an ebook. We have a couple of established authors here, but it's definitely something to consider as well. And where to start with an ebook is, one is again from your survey, what are the main points, the pain points that people are having. If the same questions keep coming up, then they become the chapters of your ebook, and each one can become a chapter. So if you have 5 common denominators that the same topic keeps coming up, how do you do this, how do you do this, how do you do this, then they are the 5 chapters or 10 chapters or whatever it might be of your book. Okay? And again, people get caught up in the technology or an ebook is some sort of magical thing. It's typed up in Word or Publisher or whatever word processing package you have, and it's saved as a PDF, and that's your ebook. It's not something magical because of there's some technology, other technology involved. Colin is an expert in both offline and online publishing if you want to talk to him. Nuala has published her book as well, and did I miss anybody? Okay, the rest are coming soon. So you save it as a PDF. There are a couple of tips and tricks in terms of creating the PDF. Imagery is always good and stuff like that. So they are slightly a bit different than your fiction or non-fiction novel or whatever it might be, but they can still be done in Word or Publisher. And like the more modern versions of, or the latest versions of Microsoft Word and Publisher, they make it very easy. They provide templates and all sorts of stuff like that. And of course, there's lots of companies out there where you can download ebooks just to get a look at, like I would follow HubSpot on digital marketing and social media, and their ebooks are really, really good just in their layout and design and everything else. So you can save it as a PDF, and you can give it away or you can sell it on sites like eJunkie. Okay, so I know education-based marketing is kind of give before you ask, but of course if it's a good book, you could definitely consider and should consider selling it using a service like eJunkie. And what's great about eJunkie is, like Bernie mentioned with her referral and affiliate program, is people who love the book could earn some money by sharing the link. So if I buy it through Own gets a piece of the profit. And because it's digital, there's no post, there's no packaging. I could give you 90% commission if you were a really good evangelist of my book. I can choose the commission. So that's definitely something to consider on the ebook side of things. The third of 4 options that I'm just going to cover is create a short online course. And again, resistance might show up for you and say, I'm not a trainer, I'm not a lecturer, I'm not a teacher. If you have knowledge that somebody wants, you are all of those things. So you can create a short online course. So how would you do that? Well, video is a key part of it. Your ebook could be kind of a short course, but really video is a key part. And the latest version of PowerPoint makes it very easy to create MP4 format videos. I think there's probably a number of formats in it where I could be recording this presentation and save it as a video and then put it up on, Paul mentioned udemy.com there, which is a marketplace for online courses. So you could use PowerPoint, at least the latest version of it, to create a short course. You could use free screen capturing software like Jing. It's a place to start, but you'd be moving on from there fairly quick. But again, you could use Jing just to capture what you do on screen to show people how to do administration or accounts, or use Photoshop in photography, or whatever it might be. You also have Snagit then, which is €43 by the same company, TechSmith. I think it's come down in price. I don't think it was at 43 last year, but it's €43 including VAT, and it's a more advanced version of Jing where you can actually save a copy of the videos that you create onto your computer and then upload them to YouTube or Udemy or Vimeo or some of these online course platforms. One that I'm using quite a lot for for training, I know Paul is looking at it as well, is Fedora, and the website is usefedora.com, and it's free to get your online course up there. And from free, you can do a light version of free, and then you can go from there. Do you want to share the numbers from yesterday, Paul, when you changed your price?
Udemy, yeah, I changed to a free course, and
From
$47. And since yesterday, I've had approximately, just checked there before the week to start, 320 in what's that, about 26 hours.
What's the course?
It's just there on the flyer.
Oh, this
It's,
one.
Yeah.
just how to start your own online store, basically.
So the lesson there would be, in a big marketplace like that, there are people looking for this education. So you're going to put the price back from zero back up in time.
Just want to get it up and hopefully get a few reviews, and anyone who actually takes the course, I'd appreciate a review. It's helpful. I definitely would. But just to get a bit of social proof and with numbers and reviews, that would be. There's only 3 actual instructors that were using the open curtain software I use. One of them is, well, last time I checked in, he's dropped off. He had very bad English. Not saying mine is perfect, but he was very hard to understand. But he had a 10-hour course, and I'd say maybe 5 of that was like hums and ahs and deep breaths and broken English. So similar course to mine. He was selling it for $10. I was glad to see him go. But that said, he had only 5 customers at the time. So, I think it was the quality of this course as well. Just from that point of view, I just said I'd give it free to get the numbers up and sort of be maybe seen to be the number one.
Okay.
Open card.
Okay, we'll be if we don't see you at the next meeting, we know you're in Barbados. So the next version up then, which I would use all the time, is Camtasia, again by the same company. It's €256 for the Windows version, and more recently they brought out a version for the Mac at €85, and it lets you do more advanced things. But again, what you're doing is you're capturing what's going on the screen, and then you're converting that into a video where people can watch you basically train them, teach them how to do something. I've also started using Paul's tripod that he let me borrow about 6 months ago. I hope you're not charging by the day. But there's a little clip then that holds the iPhone. The clip's about €20 onto a standard tripod. Unfortunately, you cannot plug a microphone directly into an iPhone. I haven't tried it with a Samsung actually. So this device is €35. But what it allows you to do in reasonable lighting is attach your phone to the tripod and the microphone, stand with the microphone out of focus, out of view. Thank you. Out of view, and then you can start to make more, maybe a flip chart and you in a type training, or you're delivering something. They're delivering more kind of, I guess, for coaching and courses like that, where it's not on screen and it's really all about you and the delivery of your knowledge through the camera. There's also present.me, which allows you to record the video and the PowerPoint and put the two of them together on the one screen. So people are watching the PowerPoint and watching you. So it's good for maintaining their attention. So they're switching from the PowerPoint to you and back. So some of you are looking at me now, some of you are looking at the PowerPoint presentation, and that will change. So, you know, people get bored. And that's one thing about online courses, you really have to up how you keep people engaged, because, you know, you're expecting them to look at this little box for 30 minutes, and there's so many other things they could be doing, like being on Facebook or whatever it might be. So, but a smartphone with an external mic, the mic's a little bit expensive. Just happens to be the one I got is about $250 US, but so maybe €200-ish. There are probably cheaper ones. You can use your headphones. I've actually cut the headphones off a spare pair of mine just above the mic and pin the headphones that comes with your smartphone to your shirt, and that provides a great audio as well. You're just limited by the length of the lead, but that's another option. And I see again Pat Flynn, who I admire quite a lot. You know, sometimes he's just talking into the camera with the headset on, so it saves you having to buy the mic. Paul?
We've got a really good set of Logitech headphones for £16 sterling on eBay and Amazon, I think it was.
Sure.
Most of this course is created with those.
Yeah, and the audio is great. Yeah, and Camtasia allows you to up the levels and cut out the background noise as well.
You might find that if you're taking the course and looking at it, there might be different sounds, and one might be a bit tinny, and that was me after making the video with the different settings. So you just have to play around with your settings. The microphone with each different bit of software might just sound different, and there's so many settings, but you could experiment with that before you'd actually go recording your stuff live. But I just did it the easier way.
Well, you also do what Sharon did and get a fully fledged professional videographer into her kitchen and produced excellent quality results on that for the DVD and for the Halloween Ghost video you may have seen. So of course that is another option, but for getting going and creating a short free course, trying to keep the costs down. The fourth option, which it's proven really popular, and I've been a fan of listening to podcasts for maybe 10 years now, but never so much as in the last couple of months. I call them Seminar in a Car. I have a little unit that you can play the podcast to the car of top experts in this area, where we pay a lot of money to go to see them in London or further, and they give us all this free useful information. So it's worth considering again, if you're, of course we're quite knowledgeable in what we do, to share that expertise just through audio by setting up a podcast. So there's a number of options there with the audio, again with a headset that you might have anyway for making the other videos, or a smartphone, or plug a microphone if you happen to have that into the smartphone, just to make it even clearer, a USB microphone. You get the podcasts up on iTunes. It's critical that you give them a title and the keywords that people are looking for, so whatever those keywords are. And then a lot of people playing around with SoundCloud now, because if you put the SoundCloud audio up, for example, on Facebook, it plays within Facebook, so it doesn't launch iTunes and all this kind of stuff. They can play it on Twitter as well, and SoundCloud have a great app as well. So people are really loving SoundCloud for its ability to be shared and to be listened to within the social networks. And also AudioBoo, which I use on the smartphone as an app. You can have 5 minutes for free, but again it helps you with the whole iTunes side of it. So you register with AudioBoo. It's an app on the phone, and you might go for a walk where it's quiet and just literally share some of your profound knowledge with people and use it through AudioBoo, and then when you get back to Wi-Fi, just hit send and it does all the iTunes and everything else for you. Okay, and then a huge opportunity with all of this is to repurpose the content in various formats to get it out to as many people as possible. So one example would be that Brendan Burchard, who wrote a number of bestsellers, The Millionaire Messenger, and what was the last one, James? Charge, yes. So his podcast is just the audio from videos. He's more into producing videos, but you can listen to the audio from the video in your car, because you don't want to be watching the video in the car, through his podcast. Some people would take their ebook and then get it a voiceover and get it read, and then break that into, if there's 10 chapters, maybe 20-30 weeks worth of podcasting. So and the other way around, you can take the audio from your video and turn it into a manual or turn it into an ebook. So there's various ways, very cost-effective ways of repurposing whatever content, whatever knowledge you have, whatever format you start with. You can do 3 or 4 other formats relatively quickly. Okay? So then all of this leads back to great content for your blog. Okay, so you start with blogging, but as you get more comfortable producing the knowledge, producing the education, it becomes great content for the blog. Okay? So the last one then is to consider hosting a webinar, which is really an online seminar, or a hangout, taking the term from Google Hangouts. And it's basically a free online broadcast. In fact, this has been streamed right now. It's the next version on, I guess, from doing a webinar is to actually broadcast the meeting. So, and that service is available here for hire for anybody who wants to consider, if for their training, for their coaching, if they're getting into knowledge-based marketing and they want to deliver it out into the World Wide Web, then that's an option. We are getting mats here that when you stand on the map, or the mat even, it shows the PowerPoint presentation to the viewer, and when you get off the mat, it goes back to me. So again, you have that almost live editing and live production going on. So Sharon, you can bring in the kitchen sink. So again, that's even a more advanced version of a webinar, I guess. So the options available is, one, you can be on camera. That's what Yasmin does. She puts on her headset, she looks into the laptop camera, or you can buy a USB camera, and she just delivers her coaching and training via Google Hangouts. The other option then is to share what you have on screen. So this PowerPoint presentation will be open, and then in Google Hangouts or whatever webinar or technology that you're using, you just share what's on screen. So if you want to give people, 5 tips on getting unstuck in your life, you open it up in PowerPoint, you start your webinar, and you share that screen, and they can hear you and they can see what you're presenting. Okay? They can actually ask questions, and there's various other technologies built on top of that, like Webinar Jam, which is something that I'm using for webinars. You can also screen share literally anything that you have on your screen. So if you're showing somebody how to navigate around your website, or if you want to show people an insight into how the online course works, you can share that screen as well. Or if you're selling software, you can share how the software works. Again, it's back to educating and empower people as part of your marketing. They can try before they buy with no travel, because they're looking from their own computer. There's no financial obligation. It's just a really, really good way to let them try before they buy. And of course then there is the option of automated webinars, which are getting quite popular as well. So you never say they're a live event, but basically what you do is you record your 20 or 30 minute webinar in advance. You perfect the audio, you perfect the content. If there's a sales pitch at the end, you perfect that. Maybe you try it a few times, and you put the recording into the automated webinar service, and then it happens like a real webinar. People, register for 6 o'clock. It starts automatically. You're not even there. It plays for 30 minutes. You just suggest that they have questions, that they email them in. It ends at 6:30. But again, they're still getting the knowledge. You can, like I mentioned, then stream a live course like we're doing here and streaming this presentation. There was 15 people, I think, at the last meeting physically, but there was 55 sessions open, 55 viewers of the meeting online. So maybe next month I'll just be here on my own, and you'll all be viewing in from somewhere nice. And of course you can record them and make them available for viewing and for marketing over and over.
Have you any way of knowing who kind of watches in, like, have you,
No. We can get IP addresses and kind of narrow it down, but unless we start...
On live, but on webinars, yes.
On webinars, sorry, yes. On live, no. On live, no.
Yeah, because when I signed into Sligo IT there,
Yes.
they knew who I was, that I would ask questions.
Yeah, well, you must have registered then.
Why did you?
Yeah, but there's no registration for
None for
this particular event. We just provide we've only provided the link to network members. So, but maybe it's been shared. I know I mentioned it on Twitter, so yeah, there you go. So, but when we have the donate button at the bottom for these meetings, we will know who made the donations or who didn't more. So then for your webinar, choose your topic. I would suggest, although there's webinars that go on for an hour and a half, I would be suggesting 30 minutes or less, including time for questions and answers. Choose your delivery method. So is it webinar? Is it Google Hangout? Is it live streaming? Obviously choose a date and time. And ideally you would have a call to action at the end. And this is where you get into earning some money from your webinar. So the first webinar I did at James's kitchen table up the road, because the Hive wasn't open at the time. I think it was a 30-minute webinar, 30 Facebook tips in 30 minutes. And I had 4 sales of that course before I got up from the table at €97 a course. So approximately €400 worth of sales out of that half-an-hour webinar. Okay, you need to, obviously, they went a couple of hours into prepping for the webinar, etc., etc. So, you know, I think 86 people registered, and I think maybe 30 plus actually turned up, and 4 sales, and it was frighteningly close to the industry average of 30 to 40% of those who registered turning up, and approximately 10% of those buying. So 95% of statistics are not made up on the spot. So in summary, it really is a game changer when you see big brands doing it and small companies being very successful with it. It's just never has been as hard to sell and to market to people as it has been now. We're just loaded with information. It's very hard to be different. So you will really stand out if you educate first, until it becomes the norm, and then there'll be something else. But it might be some time. The big reason that it might be some time before it becomes the norm is people find it, you know, somewhat of a challenge. But I think with hopefully these useful insights and some other information, you'll definitely try and give it a go. You already have the knowledge. You just mightn't think you do because, I haven't enough knowledge to blog or write a book. But you know, you have. You have. If you've answered questions that customers have asked, then you have the knowledge. If they've asked, other people want to know as well. Other people have those questions. And there's loads where that came from as well. So as you become more confident in doing it, you can learn more yourself by doing online courses yourself. So one of the webinars that I'm running in the next couple of weeks is called Earning from E-Learning. So as we, you know, when we run out of knowledge, if we ever do, there's lots of, through e-learning, there's lots of access to quite, you know, inexpensive / free courses where we can up our knowledge and again turn that into the next version of our course. So leave you with a quote. In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. So when people latch onto your expertise, there is a huge opportunity for you to be irreplaceable to them. So that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Colin.
You mentioned the problems with lots of people in creating content, both the time factor and the familiarity with writing. A good way around this is to use what we used to call in print syndication, which is now PLR, public lending rights.
Yeah.
There's a vast amount of material available, as some of it good, some of it terrible. But if you hit the good stuff, it's really a very cheap and quick way of having content, articles, and stuff you can turn into video and audio. You've got the words there, and you've got the structure of the words, but it's essential you then customize it to your own use.
Sure.
Because that material will go out probably to hundreds of other people, and Google won't like to see the same stuff that's been used on other websites.
Yeah.
But for an example of that, my daughter runs a riding stable and needs desperately to monetize it in various ways. And I picked up for under $20, an enormous package of videos and articles and stuff which you can use on their website and in other ways that broadens her market and gives her lots of ideas, like there's a whole specialist field of slimming and riding.
Okay.
And the health aspects of riding. Hypnotherapy, which is used to help all kinds of conditions like autism, which is hot now.
Sure.
So for $20, she's got a whole business package, plus the materials with which to develop it.
Mm-hmm.
And just the last point, you mentioned hardware and expensive hardware. There's an outfit run by the Chinese called AliExpress online, and I've used them a lot. And you can find almost everything like microphones, projectors, even tablets there, far, far cheaper than you can buy it here. And I've noticed that the Irish Customs isn't stopping the stuff coming in very much, very aggressively.
Okay.
So you often get it in without any sales tax or duty charges.
Sure.
And it can be less than a third of what you would pay for in a local shop.
Okay.
Online.
How do you spell it again? Alex? Is it?
AliExpress, A-L-I Express.
A-L-I?
Yeah. It's linked to Alibaba, which is more of a trade.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I've never found them let me down. They hold the money that you pay in a kind of escrow until you
Sure.
get delivery of the goods. And,
Okay.
the refund policies are good too.
Cool. Any other questions or feedback, comments?
Just on the blogging thing, how badly do Google slate total copyright, totally copying full word for word from a blog to say another blog?
If it's plagiarized, basically,
Yeah.
you'll do well to ever get back onto Google again.
Because I've seen that with a blog, OpenCart News it's called. And OpenCart, that's a free software I used here, free shopping cart. They were very slack with their blog. I think it was 6 months before they had a blog.
Sure.
But apparently they're on top of it now. So they released a blog, 9 tips for putting in your product description. And of course I'm signed up to everything OpenCart, and I see this coming in. OpenCart News, as if they wrote it, delighted with themselves. You know, the exact word for word from the OpenCart blog. I repurposed it and I said 9 tips and hashtagged OpenCart and linked it back to OpenCart's own blog.
Yeah.
And I gave a 10 tip of my own, you know, just to make it a bit different. So they will get badly slated for copying that.
Yeah.
Without giving credit.
Yeah.
But they could copy it and give credit. Will do them more good than harm, or
You can copy and give credit, but at the same time, if it's copied, you know, like 95% or whatever the percentage might be, if it's a high percentage, they will penalise you badly.
yeah.
They're becoming they're becoming yeah. They're almost gone too far with how they've changed both link building and other strategies that were these strategies 5 years ago, where people spent, like Ryanair fell off position 1 for search terms there a couple of weeks ago down to position 100 because of changes with Google, and they have been responsible for closing businesses in the US particularly, where people were number 1 for particular search terms and now they're not seen at all, and they just literally closed them down. They had to close down their model of they were basing their business on being number 1 or 2 in Google, and you have to be in the top 3. So don't copy. And if you have to copy content, then you know you're going to run out. And you know, really the whole idea of education-based marketing is that you're educating people with your own knowledge. Now, granted, they have nice 9 tips. There's services out there where you can hire people to do what we call article spinning. So they'll read the article and give it back to you, and you know the two will look almost completely different, but they'll be covering the same tips using like advanced thesaurus and various other techniques, or just, you know, a good grasp of the English language, and they can rewrite it fairly quickly. And article spinning does go on, but copying, not a good idea.
What about somebody that says they can write content for you? You know, like somebody approaching, say, me for my blog,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be updating it very regularly, so this person has contacted me and said,
Mm-hmm.
writer, and what
Yeah.
do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I have clients who've done it or continue to do it. I have one client that gets 4 articles a week written for $150 a month, and they're really good. And of course, the longer the relationship, the more like you they become. But what they do is they're guided by, I want you to go out and write about X in the context of Y or whatever. And they'll do a little bit of research, and then they're just a great grasp of writing content that when you read the first paragraph, you want to read the next one. So it can be, if you get the right writer at the right price, that comes across as if you wrote it, it definitely happens. I mean, you have people like ghost writers who write books for people and so on and so forth. So it absolutely happens. It's just the cost can be prohibitive.
No cost with this.
Is there no cost? Yeah, okay.
You can also get anything you get wrote for you or whatever checked on copyscape.com for something like 5 cents a search.
Yeah.
And it'll basically go out and trawl the internet to see if that article was written before. So someone presents you with an article that's supposed to be original, just go to Copyscape and set up an account. I don't know how much you have to load into your account to get started, but I know it's something like 5 cents a search, US cent. Now, if there's just one word of a difference, I don't know, they might say it's unique. I don't know how accurate they are. But
Yeah, you need to be mindful of that too. The other option is to, which I've done before as well, is to dictate it with your smartphone and send it off to be typed up. We can definitely, it flows better, even if you have to get up and walk around, it flows better when we say it, than particularly when we're challenged with, basically not the ability to type, but just being able to type like a journalist almost, or a writer. So it flows better and you can just send it off. I have Dragon Naturally Speaking as well. I forget what I paid for it, but when you load the audio into that and proofread it, it's amazingly accurate. It has to learn your accent first, of course, and leave out the extra S's and H's that I sometimes put in, but after a while you've been playing with it, Paul, have you?
yeah, it's great fun. It's very intuitive. It learns your accent. And if it does make a mess up of a word, you can auto-correct the typing of it and it'll learn how to say it. Now, I haven't tried it when I was drunk or anything, just for the crack, but it's been fun to do that.
Okay. So there's they're the options, Sharon. If you use your phone, email it off, or pay somebody, or if you're getting somebody to write for free, better again.
What do you call it again?
Which one? Sorry.
The last one you talked about there that you can.
The software?
Yeah.
Dragon Naturally Speaking. It's supposed to be the Rolls Royce. I know it's not. Colin, do you know?
Yes, it's the best one.
Yeah. Price, is it 100 or two?
Under 100
euro now, yeah.
But if you could buy it retail, it's more expensive. But
Okay.
they have offers all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
And although it's got better and better, if you get a year-old or a 2-year-old version, which they offer them discount, then
Yeah.
it will still be functioning.
Yeah.
I wondered if you could say a little bit about how Google ranks now, because they've changed
Sure.
the algorithm to,
Yeah.
I mean, a site that's got a lot of knowledge becomes a sort of authority site.
Yes.
Ranks.
Yeah, so that's basically what they're looking for. They're looking for real human beings to write useful content that is being constantly or regularly updated and that people are sharing. So they love to see blogs. They love to see blogs that are getting comments. They will penalise you no end where you've got links. So they loved links in the past. And then what happened was we were hiring people, there were people hiring people the other side of the planet to write all sorts of articles and link back. And then Google very quickly realised that it's like the episode of The Simpsons when one of the guys got elected and half the people that voted were dead. So, because Google used to count links as votes, and then when they realised that the links were not credible, then the votes were actually meaningless. So that same client who's getting blog articles written has 860,000 links that we have to get removed in the next couple of weeks. We have been working over the last couple of months. And they would have paid people to write articles and link back, and now we've 860,000 of them to review because we're moving down the ranks quite badly in search terms of Google. So what has remained consistent, and I've said it from the beginning, is good content with the keywords in the right places, which blogging does automatically, that people are coming back for and commenting on and sharing. And links still work from good authority sites. So if the Horse and Hound links to your, or whatever site links to your daughter's blog, for example, and they're already an authority in the eyes of Google, then that works. But this practice of getting tens of thousands of links used to work, and now they're gone full circle on that. They want quality all the way. And YouTube, of course, is playing a key piece as well. Getting videos up on YouTube, putting in the keywords. I mean, it's the second biggest search engine in the world, owned by the biggest search engine in the world, and people are just flocking towards video now. They won't read. They're reading less and less online. Okay, Jean?
Very last question, yeah. You were talking about with blogging, to set up a WordPress blog.
Yeah.
What are the types of blogging?
Well, there's Blogger and TypePad and Movable Type, and people thought when Google bought Blogger that would help being found, but like over and over, WordPress is the common denominator with the experts. It's got some great plugins for making your blog even more search engine friendly, but also plugging in things like if you go into My Blog, there's a little pop-up that happens after 5 seconds. Do you have a question? And there's various dynamic plugins that are free, widgets, plugins, whatever you want to call them, that you can do a lot of different things with. Leon is the WordPress expert in the room, but there are others, but I wouldn't recommend them. Of course, it's free.
WordPress to build a whole website now?
Because Fergal from upstairs isn't here, I would say yes. If Fergal was here, he'd be going, no, Johnny. It really depends. I mean, if you need a lot of functionality, then no. You keep WordPress for blogging, and build a bespoke website for the business. There are lots of sites. Owen has built his, I think, on WordPress. Sharon, is yours completely WordPress? So there's lots of sites that do lots of great things and provide lots of great information that are completely built on WordPress, and absolutely it's a place to start. But if you take, the Landmark Hotel, for example, trying to plug in their booking system into the website might be a challenge. Fiona, yours is WordPress? Yeah, mine is, and you can do lots of great things, and there's more and more advanced widgets coming out. But if you wanted to, if you were Ryanair, you wouldn't use WordPress, or if there's lots of e-commerce. Now there's e-commerce plugins and stuff like that. Leon, can you? There's nothing it can't do. Okay, there you go. Yeah, and IT Sligo, which is a great website, is all built on WordPress, or it used to be at least. And Local Enterprise too, which looks really, really good and it's got lots of stuff going on. It's built.
No matter what you're using, the key in any engagement is to encourage someone onto your database list so you can actually develop
for sure
conversations. So
yeah.
Websites, that's the real power of them, is to start that education and marketing, but
yeah.
The ultimate goal is to bring them onto your list.
Yeah. There are, people out there that would believe that the only purpose of a website, within reason, bar certain sectors, but particularly in the knowledge-based game, but the only purpose of your website is to get email addresses. And whatever way you can do that. And I've seen some people in information products and everything else, and they have a big picture of themselves in action, and the only thing you can do on the site, and they just believe now that there's such an authority on the particular subject. The only thing you can do on the site is put in your email and hit submit. And after that, then you'll get the information. They won't let you do anything. There's nothing else you can do. Now, there's only a few doing it, but they're doing it. They're like, if you want my info, give me your email address.
Doesn't that then affect their Google ranking?
Yeah. But they'll still be found by name. you know, and there are other profiles like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and stuff like that will be found. I mean, they might send you to, you know, their website might be /blog, which they'll send you back to once they get your email, and that will be found. I mean, there's probably ways around it for sure, but when you Google their name, you're going to find their site, and all they want then is your email. But it's a very valid point. How's that going to play out in terms of being found in Google if there's no content there to be seen? Well, it'll still be in the description and stuff like that, meta tags and so on. Okay. Oh, we're gone a few minutes over. So I hope that was useful. The recording will be made available if you want to watch it. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that CruiseNet is happening at the end of the month, the 31st of July. For those of you not familiar with CruiseNet, it's basically this on Moon River. I know. It's basically an informal networking event. It's for business owners. They come from all over, Dublin, Mayo, Sligo, Leitrim, Roscommon, and so on. We give priority to the Leitrim and Roscommon business networks first and foremost. It's €30, which includes getting onto the boat, and there's a 3-course hot meal. Lots of people here have been on it before, so you can book through the local enterprise office here and pay for it, so then we don't have to be handling cash on board, which is great. There's room for about 50 people, so we have to keep it at that to keep it comfortable. So it's on Thursday, the 31st of July. We set sail. No, we cruise at 7 and we get back at 10. And we usually end up in Crines or somewhere like that for a few beverages or whatever you want. So that's CruiseNet, and it's on the 31st of July.
What are the numbers like at the moment?
6. I could lie and say 46, get some urgency going. It's a good sales tactic, but no, 6. So there will, you know, they tend to come in a big burst at the end, but please don't wait. Because it won't happen if we don't have 50. We have an arrangement with the Moon River for the particular cost. Yeah, sorry, we're finished now. For the particular cost at €30, we need 50 people. Okay? So, and there's no meeting in August, so that covers the meeting in August if you have the DTs about it not having a network meeting for a month. So we'll see you on the first Tuesday of September if we don't see you on the cruise. And I'll email you a link to the video, and there's tea, coffee and sandwiches outside. Thank you very much.